You guys ready?
Yep.
Good morning. Can you guys believe it's February? Yay. Am I the only one who's like, how did we already get to February? Seems like a lot. Birthdays. Dennis Garner. Curtis Pickett. Simon Grove. Renee Groom. Susan Plumley. Jackie Morris. And Sydney Newman. Happy birthday. I'm gonna go over this real quick. You guys probably saw this in the news. This child, the 9-year-old that was struck by his bus in Orlando, Florida. Story is right now that he exited the bus. He was the last student on the bus. He ran off, ran back. He dropped a football and crawled under the bus, and the driver didn't see him. So I bring it up only because you guys know how important it is to check and double check to make sure that those students aren't anywhere near the bus. Just a reminder to check again. It's Love the Bus Month. A huge thank you to all of you for what you do, drivers, monitors, staff, all of you. We did put this on our site, on our hub. And we thank you guys tremendously for everything that you do, day in and day out. Getting up, coming in here every day. You know, we're short, but I know it's a struggle some days. So thank you for all that you do to take care of our kids. Oh, graphics. Important dates. March is out. If you need a hard copy, let us know, but I think they were all put in your mailboxes. February 19th, we're all off. Everyone is off for President's Day, and it is a paid holiday. And then the blackout dates, our calendar, it is constantly updated. So please check the calendar before requesting time off. I know all of you guys know this. We are short drivers, we're short monitors. But just to give you an idea, since November, we've had 6 drivers leave. So either due to retirement, medical, or other employment opportunities. They couple this with drivers and monitors who are sick, or they have something already previously scheduled, a day off, and we're struggling every day. So again, I appreciate you guys showing up every single day, but just to give you an idea of the gravity of the situation, it's a constant, I hate to say the word, but almost back to COVID days, where in the office we're constantly trying to figure out how can we rearrange things to get everything covered.
So how many are we short to be even?
We are short 5 drivers right now, and 1 monitor, technically 2, because one of the drivers moved to a monitor position to help us out. And then we have 3 in training. 1 should be able to test this week, and then the other one is being a monitor for us while he's in training. So all total though, we start out every day about 6 short. And that's, again, before call-ins or things that have been scheduled previously. Field trip reminders. You have to take the bus you're assigned to. Because we do fluid checks, the under the hood inspections, and so we can't go around and try to figure out which bus you took. Take the bus you're assigned to. Any questions on that? Everything comes out of McKinley. McKinley, wow. I just went back like 20 years. Everything comes out of the garage here in the winter, so. At minimum, sweep the bus that you took, empty the garbage, and if you've gone quite a distance, refuel for them. And then my constant reminder, everyone agreed when they took this position, we asked specifically, we had 2 people in on the interviews so that we know, we asked specifically, it was agreed upon, everyone will help with field trips. And we are constantly assigning subs right now to field trips, so we need to get you guys signed up for field trips. And it's only gonna get worse because spring is coming and the sports are gonna overlap. So please, get signed up. From the shop. Try the obvious first. So if your bus isn't starting, make sure it's in neutral. If your 8-ways aren't working, check your master switch. Put your bus number on your pre-trip. If you have a bus, some of these buses, they do have a DEF gauge that does not work. You have to fill it once a week. So obviously there's no way of keeping track of how much DEF is in there. And it's really bad on the bus if you run out of DEF. And do not get back in your bus when refueling. And then heater knobs. They're plastic. We have had so many heater knobs broken from people just as hard as they can. You gotta be easy on the heater knobs. I don't know how to say it. It's just some of you a lot stronger than you think. I don't know, but go easy on those. Is Matt setting up the mirror station? Shall we head out? So for Love the Bus Month, our communications director is here, and Matt is setting up the mirror station so that we can go out there and take a picture, kind of like training for mirrors. So, anyone who would like to come out with us and take a picture for this, come on out, field trip.
Are you gonna be outside?
You're gonna be outside.
Picture's up. You don't have to be in the picture if you don't want to. I'm gonna use this in the newsletter that comes out.
I'm doing what Bobby does. What would Bobby do?
All right, guys, ready?
Red doesn't have to play out in the door.
Yes.
I ain't trying.
Yeah, go.
Probably not. Because you don't drive a school bus, so.
I make you feel guilty.
I'm just a monitor, so I don't need to go.
Like if you're going. This is an interesting study of peer pressure.
I'm digging the coffee.
Was right here and they're moving forward.
I like your attitude.
I passed it forward, I passed it forward, I don't know if they kept going.
We didn't get
You guys didn't get
it.
it?
No.
Very two of you. Well, they're down five drivers. They're not gonna find it.
You know, I mean, you would have done social media.
That's what I thought.
Wasn't it when we got all those t-shirts?
Oh,
yeah, that was the mistake.
Okay.
I went to where I put those in the shirt. My kids did those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right, because you didn't, they didn't know about it. Yeah, because of his wife. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I even, when a car hit me, on the way to work,
What?
and I still need to work out.
Did you throw up your license and run to work?
Yeah, what can I say? No,
When was this?
So that was like in September.
Oh my
I
gosh.
went to work, you know, in the afternoon.
And was that
Kid, it's a curve, kid, you make a curve. He just ran right in my car. It's like, oh, my car, I was so ready. I said, someone just hit me.
Well, did you stop?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My parent was coming.
Oh, jeez.
So the sides were closed and the cars were closed.
Oh, my God.
So, you know, the officer was very nice. She said, I see you have a CDL. I said, she said, do you have to work? I said, well, yeah. She said, well, I have everything. I said, so you're about to report.
Yeah.
She said,
Oh,
I called in to work. Said, I'm not here to slip out. I did it. Tell me it's working.
now that's dedication. It did shake you up, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it used to be brown, so you didn't have that, did you? You gotta get some of that stuff. I think it's time for it. Need to get some of that. You did do activity. Last year, right? Was that last
Yeah,
year?
it was last year.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Towards the end, I was just screwing with those kids. We were a couple. Yeah. He's like, oh, we get out of bed.
Really? Were they just brats?
I know, now, I got very things about my choice, and I saw
I did.
Hey, you're entertaining this
She says it. Just doing my job. I love it.
No,
Not on your
The
iPhone.
thing, you have to talk to,
You have to-
No, but she does give me a reminder, if I'm not home, then I can hear it.
Oh, where like it rings and then you look at it and it
Yeah, no,
shows you
it's
that.
like on the bottom, I don't know. Where is it? He's a yogi.
Where do you get that? For my, because I have like an alarm that goes off and things
I don't know. I usually bring it up, but no. Yeah, like here, like it's just like screen on. And the dogs, she also said, when the dogs are barking, I usually say dogs are barking.
Really?
So your elbow is
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Oh, and your Echo is connected to your phone?
Yeah. Because I have the app.
I have Echo, I have, what's the other one?
Oh, you have to eat on.
You can see.
The one that you can say, turn on. Yeah, and then it turns on music and so that tells you the temperature. I have Siri on here, Siri's on my phone. Siri's on here. You have an iPhone? Siri's on here and then, hey Google is at home. And then I have, oh my word. That's pretty cool, I like that. Well, I have this one, tomorrow that's only on Saturday, so. And so I have here, I turn it on. Hi. Good morning. Oh, yeah. It is. Yeah, that too.
Your life is better when you smile.
Where's Scott?
Water.
I know. And then with oh, she did.
He's scary instead of them nasty ones. Yeah. At least they're not they're not appetizing. No.
All right, thank you for that. Already went over. Does anybody have any questions on any of what we went over? No.
You wish, Dan. You wish. Just check.
I know how much you like my dry talking, lack of emotion when I talk.
You're excited video.
We're doing something completely different this time now. No video.
He said what everybody was thinking.
Well, if you guys want to hack into the projector, by all means.
Put some videos in there.
We're gonna go over professionalism in the school bus.
Oh, boy.
What is professionalism? What do you guys consider professionalism? Not Nick? But seriously, what do you guys consider professionalism as a school bus driver?
Not wearing sweatpants to work?
Dress properly.
Presenting a positive image.
There you go. That's a very good way of presenting a positive image. So, the definition of professionalism is the competence or skill expected of a professional. So it's what is expected of you, whether it be us in the office or it be what the parents are expecting, as much as you guys even though you're school bus drivers, you're very much a customer service type of job. You guys interact with students, school staff, parents on a daily basis. So how does that impact you as a driver? Everything you do is seen as an expectation from parents, whether it be greeting the students as they get on the bus, how you handle an emergency situation, being on time. All of those are an expectation that come down on you as a driver. And when you don't come off as, if you don't use those means of professionalism, it becomes difficult for parents and students to trust that you are going to transport them safely. And that is our number one goal, transporting those students safely. Which I kind of just rattled off that next bullet without actually. So how does that apply to you? That is your attitude that you present each day when you're on the bus. You are the first person these students see each morning to begin their school day and the last one they see going home. I know I've said that phrase probably 100 times. The attitude you present each route impacts these students. May not always be something you can physically see as to how it impacts them. But the students are more apt to be excited or enjoy the bus ride. Yes, I know that probably means the littler kids more than the older ones. The older ones are all glued into their phones, I know. But it still makes a difference. Even in the high schoolers, they may not show it as much, but being greeted as they get on the bus and seeing a smile on your face makes a difference to them. If you have a poor attitude as students approach the bus, students that normally, want to talk to you or may want to share their day may not feel like they can. That changes their day. Yeah, it may get frustrating or annoying when the kids are constantly babbling or singing the same song over and over again, but it makes a difference to them. Another one is your knowledge, knowing your route, but not just knowing your route, it's knowing the area around your route. It's knowing how to, if you need to make a detour when necessary so that you can still make your stop on time. If you're circling around the area because you don't know your route, Not saying you guys don't, we're halfway through the year, everybody should hopefully know their route at this point. But if you're circling around or missing stops, that gets concerning to parents. I mean, imagine if you're standing out there with your kid and you watch the school bus go by 3 times and it's never stopped. It makes a difference. Punctuality. Lesser than safety, but punctuality is one of the biggest aspects of your job. Be it showing up here on time, but making it to your stops on time. The phrase is always used, never early, but seldom late. And that is what we try to strive for. You don't want to be early, because if you leave before your stop time, I know the students are told to be out there 5 minutes early, but if you leave before your stop time and somebody wasn't out there, then the phone calls come in, the bus wasn't here on time, and then it starts down that battle of the parents always think you're leaving them behind. Making sure you're checking in on time can set off the whole timing for your entire route for the day. Because we don't want you to do a half-assed pre-trip. Because if you come in and you're 7 minutes late, well, now you've cut halfway through your pre-trip time. Yes, I know it doesn't take the full 15 minutes to do a pre-trip. But we give you that because we want to make sure you have ample time. If there's a light out, we don't want you skipping over things on the bus. And if you're rushing to get it done, you're likely to overlook something on that bus, and we don't want you going out with an unsafe bus. Now, as your year goes on, the punctuality, we got to make sure we stay on top of time adjustment sheets. I know you guys filled them out at the beginning of the year, but as students get added, as new routes change, we got to refill them out if you guys don't think you guys have enough time to get your route done. To give you an example, we had a temporary route where we were taking a student into Naperville off of Route 59. Route said it was going to take a half an hour to do. You really think I can already hear the laughter. You really think it's going to take you a half hour going down 59? No. And we know that. But we can't always, it's not always as obvious when we're looking at the route sheets until you guys drive it once or twice. And we know if it's going to be running behind for various reasons. Might be a road that pedestrians take on a regular basis to avoid where you guys are normally driving, and now we're going down it. Responsibility. While you guys drive that bus, you're responsible for the students and their safety. That means making a decision with the best judgment you can and taking responsibility for it. You guys have to make decisions every day when you're on that bus, be it whether a student's actions are safe or not, whether you can make it in between the vehicles, whether you can make it around the corner, whatever it is. And you're unfortunately forced to make those decisions each day. And if you have any doubt whatsoever, call for assistance. It leads into communication, is communicate with us what's going on. If we need to assist with an unruly student, if you're stuck somewhere and can't get out, let us know. Because it's more than just letting us know, because we then communicate to the parents. We let them know that you're running behind. We let the schools know. Because sometimes the parents don't call us, they just call straight to the school, and the school has no idea what's going on over here. So then they start calling us, which gets mixed in with everything else. So to let us know if you're rerouting, if a student missed a stop or didn't get off when they were supposed to. If you're running 10 minutes or late, so that we can notify parents. But that goes the same for us in the office, is there's stuff you guys need to know. Making sure that you know your route for the day, if it's changed or not. Whether there's a potential road you need to avoid. Students that have been added, all of this, it all compounds together. And then making sure, the last one is appearance. Making sure you're dressed appropriately for the day, but not only your physical appearance, but the appearance of your bus makes a difference. I mean, drivers that have been here a while, does it make a difference to the parents that we now have buses that are 5 years old versus swapping them out every 2 years? It does. The buses have more dings on them. We can't keep up with washing them as much as we used to. But it's also the inside of the bus, the cleanliness of your bus on the inside. The students see that every day. I'm sure they tell their parents if it's a dirty bus. And we've talked about this with students and parents, but does all of this stuff make a difference between your peers? It does. Nobody wants to get in another driver's bus if it's dirty. But you guys have to have the same attitude towards each other that you would to a student. No calling people out on the radio, telling them their bus is dirty, or they don't know how to park. Are there any other ones you guys can think of that apply to you, other than what I've listed so far? Nothing? You guys didn't have enough coffee this morning? The picture going out in the cold didn't wake you up? What about safety practices? You think that comes into your professionalism? It does. Following the traffic laws. I'm sure there's people in here that have been called out, or we've gotten calls, speeding, not stopping at stop signs. I'm not saying all of you do it. It's just, they call. But when you don't follow those laws, you're risking the student's safety. But that comes back on you in that they see that you're set to these higher expectations of following the rules of the road than anyone else on the road. But you're not following them yourselves.
Think they call in on you when you're driving too slow for them.
They will. They will. They'll call in and say you're going too slow. But that does come with a little bit of, it depends how slow you're going. If you're doing the speed limit, then yeah, nobody, let's be honest, nobody wants to be stuck behind the school bus or the semi when they're driving down the road. But that's the nice part about these cameras now, is they have that on there, and we can see whether you're doing the speed limit or not. As long as you're not going more than 5 miles under the speed limit, we're not going to harass you about it. But anything under that is becoming a safety hazard. So same with our emergency procedures. When and if, I strongly emphasize if, an emergency occurs, the parents and public expect that we know what to do in an emergency, and that we will act appropriately and get their kids to safety. And I know you guys probably love my topics that we go over every year, repetitive after repetitive. But why do we go through them each year? To drill them into your head, and so that you don't get complacent, so that when an emergency does occur, You guys know what to do. I know they seem boring, especially for the people that have listened to me go over them for years on end. But we do it for a reason. Like for instance, what happens if you guys see a tornado when you're out on the road? What are you gonna do?
The closest school.
Go to the closest school,
Police department.
police
fire
department, church, fire department. And if you go to one that's out of the district, big box store, police department, fire department, make sure you know where you can go. And then addressing students' concerns, making sure that they are prompt and professional. Nobody wants to write up a student, but it's an unfortunate necessity of the job. Give an example, we had a school that I sent over several write-ups that were over the course of a week where the driver was just fed up. The principal had been waiting for these, hadn't said anything but because he was busy, but he was waiting for them because the students had already told him what happened. So we gotta make sure that we're addressing them appropriately and in a timely manner. Because these could be a matter of student safety. It could be bullying. Nobody wants a kid on their bus to get bullied or have their child get bullied for that matter. And the parents are trusting that you're going to look out for their student and keep all of those in mind and keep their kids safe and hopefully prevent them from getting bullied. So what does all this professionalism lead to? Leads to positive relationships with the students and the school staff and the parents. You want to build those relationships. Because then when something does happen, they trust that you have the best interest in mind. And that's what we want. What about dealing with conflicts with students and parents? Do you think that presents a professionalism thing for you guys? It does. How you approach a conflict with a student or parent is a sign of your professionalism. A positive relationship helps when it comes to conflicts, as they trust you're not out to get them if there is an issue or that you have their best interest in mind. But not everyone's gonna feel that way, and even though you're a driver, like I said, you're much like customer service. And you're not gonna be able to make everybody happy. And some parents and students just won't like the decisions you make. So you need to make sure you remain calm. Be it a parent or a student, if you escalate your tone or you join them on their level, it's going to make things worse. When you're already in a frustrating situation, if you put yourself in their shoes, you don't want somebody yelling at you while you're already frustrated enough as it is for the situation. Make sure you're active listening. You guys know what active listening is? Or is considered?
Maybe, changing it so they know you understand.
Yep. Making sure you're paying attention. What else? Making eye contact,
Asking questions.
asking questions, repeating what they say to you so that they know you're listening. Those are all signs of active listening. What are some signs of inactive listening?
Making faces.
Making faces, pretending they're not there, looking past them instead of at them, interrupting what they're saying. If they're coming to you with a concern, regardless of how frustrated they are, if they're yelling at you, you have to take it seriously. And take it as they're in the heat of the moment, and their frustration isn't necessarily at you, but unfortunately you are the person right in front of them that is getting it. And make sure you communicate clearly back to them. And always redirect them if possible to the office. If you guys have students on the bus, you don't want to be sitting there for a long conversation of what they're frustrated about. Obviously, if you've got a very heated parent and you need our assistance, call the office or mic up the radio so that we know you need help. It's not always easy to see, but it's why we try not to let parents on the bus, aside from maybe special needs circumstances. Because you don't want a heated parent getting on the bus, getting in your face. It's not an example you want to show in front of the students. Any questions on professionalism? We went through that a little faster than I anticipated. So, you guys got questions on anything at all? No, it does not mean you're leaving early.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah,
we have an issue in the parking lot
with,
with the buses and the cars parked.
okay,
So the snow is gone now, but it's still kind of an issue. When the buses are being used that are along the curb, when those buses come back, they need to be close to the curb. And they need to be in between our little green balls out there. Problem we had just recently, and you know about it, is when the people that pull in, and they pull into the slots, you have the front slot, and then you have the back of it, which is closest to the buses. The people that pull in on this side, which is down the main aisle, need not to pull all the way up to that white line, because then the person that comes around from the back they're sticking out. So when the buses come in to back in, and unless you parallel park, you don't know what a pain in the butt it is when those buses or those cars or vehicles are sticking out. So you know about this, but we need to let everybody else know.
and in those parking situations, I don't think it's the cars that are parking, because each time it's been brought to my attention, I go out there and the car is always pulled up to that far yellow line. Like, if they're parking in their slots, you've got the yellow line that divides them, and they've always had their bumper right up there. This last time, I actually went out and I measured. I took a tape measure with me. There were 4 of the buses on the curb, and I know we tell you guys not to run them up the curb when you're using them, anything like that, but those ones need to be parked on the curb. There were 4 buses that were 3 feet or more out from the curb, and I get it, part of it was,
Butted adjacent to it, you don't want to.
or not on it, adjacent to it, you need to be right butted up against it. I know there was snow, which made it difficult, but there were feet in between the buses and the curb, which is what makes that difficult. So if you haven't seen it out there, there are orange stakes out there with green balls on top of them. Those are parking indicators for the buses. So pretty much you put your front bumper up to that, and to make sure that there's enough room for the bus behind you to get out, and if needed, for someone to parallel park a bus if they had to. So you gotta make sure you're butted up against the curb and up to those so that people can park appropriately. Otherwise, it does make it very difficult for people to get through there. We put those in place because you can only fit 6 buses along that curb. And there were people frequently parking at the very end of it towards the curve, and then people struggled to get through even with their personal cars. So we put these in so that you guys can see exactly where you need to park. Scott?
What you just said was the cars were pulling up to the line. You really can't, you gotta pull past that line.
Yeah. you gotta-
So the buses that face the street need to have their back bumper to the end of the lane lines. And then the other buses, because when you try to pull out there, it's tight. So those cars have to pull past that line.
Yeah, they can go past it, that's, Patty had a picture, last week, where, because I had told her, because there was a situation where she was parked up to the white line, or the yellow line, whatever it is, and a truck was, came up and nosed up to it. So they were nose to nose. Well, that truck sticks out because it's longer, and we couldn't get through because of that. That's why we say go over that line, you can go over it, because those lanes are so long. But it's an issue when someone that comes around this way and pulls in, if they go up to that line, then the cars that come around from the back and pull up to them are back further. It's a big difference when you're pulling out of there every day. You know, you don't do it, so you're not aware of.
Oh, I've done it. I've driven buses in between the cars and the buses.
But it's a problem.
But if
And
the
if you have a
bus is
truck
3
that's there,
feet from the
it's not too
curb,
far.
it's the bus problem, not the car problem. Right?
I think we have to resolve the parking along the curb first before we can truly state if it's the people parking or not. Because this is the first year that we're having a lot of issues with it, and we've had a lot of snow comparative to other years.
It's both, it was both. I mean, I'm not saying one or the other, it's both, because of the snow, and that's what I said.
I know the
No
snow made
snow
it,
now,
the snow
but-
made it very difficult, because we got it as far as we could over, but it iced over, and when it melted, it didn't help the situation.
Just so they
It was
were
very
aware
tight
of
with
it.
all that snow there. Steve?
They're gonna break ground for parks.
So they are working, they met with the engineer on last Friday, talking to them about it. There was a whole long process and a new engineer had to be found because of some disputes. But they are going out for bid for a contractor in March. It should be, in theory, ready for next year because they have to get the propane tanks installed before next school year for the new propane buses. So the propane buses are kind of pushing things along. And for those of you with the puzzled faces, yes, we got 9 propane buses coming this year. And that might seem a little alarming, but it is not the same as your tank that's on your grill. For fueling them, they have a quick connect, and it does not dispense any propane until it's fully seated. So you shouldn't be getting sprayed with propane or anything like that. And the tanks are tested to be able to take the hit of a 40-mile-an-hour car hitting it and not lose, and not like dent or anything like that. It's, they're put through some pretty stringent safety testing.
40 miles an hour, is that what you said?
Yep.
So they're not gonna be taken on field trips then, like 60, 70 miles an hour?
But no, they'll be taken on field trips. I'm saying at 40 miles an hour, that tank cannot take a dent. Like,
Tanks.
there has to be enough security around the tank that at 40 miles an hour, if somebody hits you, that tank won't take any damage. What happens if a tank does take damage, unbeknownst to what the media would like you to see, it does not explode.
That's what I'm saying.
There's actually a video where a police department put a propane tank out there and shot at it with their guns to see if they could get it to explode. What ends up happening after they had to if I remember right, they had to pull out rifles to even get close to puncturing the tank. And what happened was a stream of propane starts coming out. And then that didn't even ignite until somebody actually lit it on fire. And the tank still doesn't explode. What it does is it just becomes like a flamethrower if it caught fire for some reason. So if for some reason you got into an accident and a tank got damaged, the worst that's going to happen is a stream of propane is going to come out. And you'll know because you're gonna smell that same rotten egg smell that they put into it because it's an odorless gas.
Where are the tanks gonna be located for fill-up?
So where the fuel tanks are now, right behind the curb over there is an emergency shutoff for the fuel tanks. It's gonna be placed just behind that. So then what there's going to be is where if you've noticed them, there's like two cutouts that lead to the grass where we push the snow usually. Those will turn into drives. And so that'll lead into the parking lot, but it'll also be the turn area for buses that need to fuel for propane. We're also looking at adding another entrance over there, but that comes down to if the city will allow them to add another one off of Kesslinger.
You have to.
Is it, how many miles, like miles per gallon? You got, one's like 3 miles
Just no way
gallon.
ever.
Diesel's like,
Propane gets you a little less than diesel, but more than gas for a big bus.
Okay.
Gets you about 6, 7 miles to the gallon. But the cost of propane is like $1 a gallon or less versus $3, $4 a gallon for diesel.
Is that a stable price, Matt, or does it go all over the board?
It fluctuates, but not nearly as high as gas and diesel do. Like any of them, they fluctuates a little bit.
Are these different size buses?
No, they are the same size buses as what we got now. They're 39-foot buses, but they are Bluebird. International did not offer a propane bus at this time. Than a diesel, yes, much better acceleration. Any of the big buses can. It depends if we opt to have it put in.
And
No. No, air conditioning was not put on these ones. Yes.
Is the goal to replace all of them with propane?
Yes, the goal is eventually to replace them all with propane. The district is looking at going green and have been asking Mary and I about electric, which just isn't feasible at the moment. So the middle ground was starting to switch to propane. So we are moving that way. And we swapped out a few more buses for gases. Like next year, the St. Peter's buses, because of their low amount of students on them, will probably be in smaller buses next year. So got a couple more diesel buses off the road. Steve?
How far can a propane bus go?
A propane bus, we looked at the mileage, it can go about 800 miles. We looked at it where we can go down to Bloomington on a tank of gas and still make it back.
oh, wow.
But in the event you needed to fuel up, any Menards has a propane hookup that you could actually pull the bus up to and fuel up at a Menards if you needed to. So as long as you look ahead on your route, know where the nearest Menards is on your route, you could effectively go anywhere you needed to with it.
Probably can't get through the gates though.
What's that?
I says it's gonna be hard going through the gates to get in the back. You know, they got that thing, the thing that comes up.
Well, I was gonna say, big trucks go back there, but a lot of them have started putting the propane tank out front. So it all depends on where they located the tank, but. Dennis, did you have a question? I thought I saw you raise your hand.
You answer it.
Oh, okay. Any other questions?
Is that gonna be employee parking over there, the new one, employee?
It will be, everybody will be over there. Our parking spots will get taken away and we're gonna have to park over there too. Everybody will be parked over there.
Will there
You
be a
gonna
shuttle? A shuttle bus?
A shuttle? I don't know about that.
So all the buses will be here.
When the parking lot is completed, yes.
When it's
They'll, so we can fit all the buses here. We've done it, every summer we do it.
Yeah, but it's, we need you out there, we need Mary out there, like,
That's because when you guys pull in the afternoon, there's still cars parked. Effectively, what it'll be is there'll be cars on the, or buses on the curb, but there will be big buses lined up in, they'll repaint the lines out there where you guys park to accommodate buses.
You can open up this back door here to come to the building.
That is supposed to be your guys' new entry door, yeah.
So will all the big buses be outside?
Not all of them, some will still be inside, same as it is now. Phil?
Are those buses gonna be air brakes? Propane?
They will. It'll still be air brakes, just like we have now. So the only difference will be the fuel source and the manufacturer. Any other questions?
Matt, there's been a lot of students crossing in between the buses on the diagonal. Is there anything we can do about that at the high school?
At the high school? I'll contact
They're
the high
not-
school.
They're working away from going to the crosswalks, and
Just cut
I've
between
seen
you.
several of them, certain students cross in front of buses that one of these days.
We'll reiterate it to the principal.
It's at the front of the school too.
Okay.
They had a teacher even do it.
Yeah, the teachers are too.
That's a little ridiculous.
and yet when first wave was leaving and second wave was pulling in, I'll let you take that down.
Yeah, that's not safe. Any other questions? Bill?
The teachers too, cut through there.
Yeah, that's what they just said. Okay.
That's
Yeah, they should be setting a good example for the students, not crossing in between. All right. I will send that out to the principal right after this. Any other questions? All right, you guys,
I
yeah?
have a question. Anybody want a ball pool?